Hello, Copic in the Craft Room friends and fans. Michelle Houghton here today. I have a brand new video, and this one is using some stencils. I got an email from a company called Stencil Revolution. I had not heard of them before, but they asked if I would show off some of their products, and I said, of course. So they sent me a few. This is one of them. This is one of their mandala collection. What you're going to find unique about this particular company is that they have thousands of stencils, and I'll get talking about them here in a second, but I want to talk a little bit. I'm doing a Copic airbrush, and I haven't done this in a while, so just a little bit of review. If you have the sketch markers or originals, those are going to click right in that air gun. Two things I'm going to look for is that the angle is pointed along the same line as the air gun, as the marker nib, and then I'm going to line up my felt nib so it's not crooked, it's not cockeyed. Then I always test off to the side, little spray action. And remember that angle? Remember, you have to point that down. So a lot of times I'll grip underneath the gun, and that's going to help me get that angle shooting straight at my paper. This first color is an RV55. Just nice light red violet to start this off, and I'll add a couple colors. But what I loved about this company is that, oh sorry, that was even lighter. That was an RV something else. I'll go back and change that. This is the RV55. Basically, what I love about this company is they have thousands. I mean, if you have an idea in your head of a stencil you would like to play around with, this is the company to check out. The other piece that I loved that made this super, super easy and was that they come in all different sizes. So you can get your standard kind of 6x6, but they also, most of these designs come in a 12x12 or even larger for wall stenciling. And they have smaller ones as well. So just unique in that they have a whole bunch of different sizes, a whole slew of different stencils and makes and models. So totally worth doing. They also can make stencils. So really neat organization, neat company, great customer service that I have experienced so far. So with that RV55, that middle one, I was having trouble getting the nib lined up. And I pulled it out, pushed it in, tried a couple things. And then I ended up actually using the brush nib. And you can do that. It just ends up a little splattery. And most of the time that'll work no matter what. You don't have the precision of lining it up. And I didn't have any problem with that. I did switch to an RV66, and now I'm all the way to a V09. The other thing I think a lot of people struggle with the airbrush, and you don't see it as much when you're using a stencil like this, is most people go too fast. They go over the area super, super quick. And this is sped up, but I still look like I'm not going that fast. This is actually sped up, believe it or not. So I actually am moving fairly slow to get these nice, kind of even spray areas. If you were doing a big open sky, you would need to go even slower. But this gives you just a starter of what you can do. And then I've got all this Copic ink, and with other kinds of ink, you can just use a wet, damp rag and wipe that off. But with Copic, what I do is I take a rag and spritz a little bit of colorless blender on it, and then I brush, kind of do small circles or kind of brush in from that stencil onto a paper below it. And basically, I figure I might as well use the ink that's sitting there versus just wash it away. And there's one. So I've got kind of half on one card, and then I pull another piece of paper over and do the same thing on this side. Now, I would actually recommend, I ended up grabbing a wash rag for this. I have tons of them laying around because I share them during classes and tear them up and stuff. But I would actually use a paper towel that you use real lightly. It's not going to, the wash rag actually picked up a ton of the ink on the wash rag itself, where a paper towel tends to lay it back down a little bit more quickly. So I ended up with 3 from that one spraying. I ended up with 3 card fronts, which are really fun, off this one stencil. To clean that off, I usually use like a little bit of hand sanitizer. That's going to take the rest of that ink off. But there's my 3 card fronts, and I'll clean that stencil up the rest later. And thank you to Stencil Revolution. Easy to find, stencilrevolution.com. And here are 3 cards that I created using those pieces. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Check me out over at scrapweaver.com for Copic in the Craft Room.